Sarasota UU. Let's try that again. No, that's all right. Please rise in body and or spirit for our opening hymn, number 149, Lift Every Voice and Sing. It is known as the African American National Anthem that we sing on Martin Luther King Day weekend out of respect for that. So let us go.
Welcome. My name is Becky Bogert, and I am a member of your Board of Trustees. On behalf of the board, we want to extend a warm welcome to our visitors both on campus and live stream, and invite all of our visitors to participate in any of our events. We welcome visitors to find out more about Unitarian Universalism by registering on our virtual guest book, which you can find via a link on the homepage of our website at uusrq.org. If you're in person, there is a sign-up sheet, if you don't get wet, for the visitors at the welcome table. If you do, we will send out our weekly newsletter and Zoom links to our virtual events. We invite you to join us for coffee and conversation after the service, and we look forward to getting to know each of you. Just a few brief announcements. The Arts Council cordially invites you to a reception in the Lexau room immediately after today's service. Our new exhibit features the work of Don Diddams and Joan Boyce, two long-standing UUSRQ members. Please stop by after the service to greet the artists. The Immigration Justice Coalition of Southwest Florida invites you Friday, January 23rd at 5 p.m. to see the play Building the Wall by Pulitzer and Tony Award-winning playwright Robert Schenken, and presented by Neil Cowan, one of our members. Building the Wall is a terrifying and gripping explanation of the powerful dystopian drama about life under an autocratic regime. Join us for refreshments and Q&A after the service. Mark your calendar for February 21st from 4 to 6 for our campaign closeout celebration. Several of our musically talented members will be performing after our members enjoy wine and small bites. We're hoping this celebration will herald our congregation's success in meeting the campaign goal of 100% of our members pledging. And I have the pleasure of introducing Aliyah Bennett, who you're going to recognize when she comes on stage, and she is a true blessing to us. Aliyah.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to be singing some Stevie Wonder for you today. Before I dive into it, I got to tell the story because I told it the first service, so I got to tell it this service too. My daughter was crying in the car one day. You know, she held influence over why I chose this song to sing. And she was crying for like 25 minutes, just screaming and wailing in the back seat. And this song came on the radio. And then she just stops and she goes, "Mommy, this song makes me not cry anymore." And so this has become one of her favorite songs. It's also a favorite of mine. And I hope you feel the same joy that it made her feel that very sad day. Music is a world within itself, with a language we all understand, with an equal opportunity for all to sing, dance, and clap your hands. And just because a record has a groove, don't make it in the groove. But you can tell right away at letter A when the people start to move. They can feel it all over. They can feel it all over people. They can feel it all over. They can feel it all over people. Ba-dum, 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 music knows it is and always will be one of the things that life just won't quit. Here are some of music's pioneers. The time will not allow us to forget, no. There's Basie, Miller, Satchmo, and the king of all, Sir Duke. And with a voice like Alice, ring it out. There's no way the band could lose. You can feel it all over. You can feel it all over people. You can feel it all over. You can feel it all over people. You can feel it all over. You can feel it all over people. You can feel it all over. I can feel it all over people. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-bum, 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 thank you.
Amazing. Amazing, amazing. I want to thank all of you for keeping me on 2 and 4 and not 1 and 3. Thank you there. Our opening reading I'm Reverend J. Wolin, the minister here at the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota. Our opening reading today is an excerpt from the I Have a Dream speech by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which I've adapted just slightly for gender-inclusive language. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America about the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time. Now is the time to make real the promise of democracy. Now is the time. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksand of racial injustice to the solid rock of siblinghood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all people. Please join me now in lighting our chalice and repeating our value of justice, which will be on the screen. We work to be a diverse, multicultural community where all thrive. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive democratic processes to make decisions within our congregations, our association, and society at large.
So today's story is Let Freedom Sing by Vanessa Newton. And in this story, there's a song that you will all recognize, and I'd love if you would join in for the last time that is sung, and I will let you know when that is to join in. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. On benches just for colored, black folks obeyed the rules. Rosa Parks refused to move, and she let her light shine. Preaching from his pulpit, Dr. King had a dream, and when he spoke in Alabama, he let his light shine. With boycotts in Montgomery, Dr. King inspired all. Walkers along the bus routes, they let their light shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Schools for blacks in Little Rock, separate but not equal. 9 high school kids, they let their light shine. Students at lunch counters, they hoped to be served. As the Greensboro 4 sat waiting, they let their light shine. At a school in New Orleans, shouting filled the air, but Ruby Bridges walked alone, and she let her light shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. At the March on Washington, thousands walked for miles. Dr. King had a dream, and he let his light shine. President Lyndon Johnson helped to change the law. Civil rights for everyone. He let his light shine. Speaking to all Americans, Barack Obama had a dream. As President of the United States, he let his light shine. So let's all sing together. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
fight for civil rights so that each of us can be guaranteed the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is always ongoing. But now, more than ever, each of us needs to let our light shine, to push back the darkness of hate that threatens to overcome us, and to become the light of hope and love. May it be so. I now invite any children and youth to join me in the West Wing for fun, art, and games. Thank you.
And now I would like to, a few times each year, we like to recognize and welcome our newest members to the congregation and do a little covenant with them and with you as congregants. So I invite our new members to come up here, as well as a member of our board and our membership committee. You're up.
Okay. Now is the time during the service that we honor our newest members and their decision to join the UUs of Sarasota. We encourage you to share with us your creative thoughts, your vital experiences in life, your doubts and your dreams about what life and our lives together can be.
It is a joy to welcome each of you be a member into our community. Becoming a member of the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota is an important step, but it is only a first step. I encourage you to grow your religious life and to explore and share your unique gifts. Will you journey together with us, sharing the joys and the responsibilities of membership? If you agree, please say yes.
Members of the congregation, members of Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota, will you reach out to these people at Friendship, including our activities? Will you walk with them on their religious journey? Will you be open to their unique gifts and perspectives? Will you extend a warm welcome to each of them, remembering that each of you was once a new member?
Now it's your part. Yes! We join our strengths, talents, and commitments with yours. You are a part of us, and we are a part of you. Ours is a shared ministry to help each other find meaning in life and to build a just and compassionate life and world, working to fulfill the mission and vision of the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota. So let's all give our new members a great round of applause for joining. And now you may be seated, and we will sing our hymn, Spirit of Life. I serve on our stewardship committee, and they have asked me to share why I give to UUSRQ. My journey towards giving to a religious organization has evolved over the years. It's gone from wonderment as a child to a deeper understanding from a business perspective, and now it's housed right here in my heart. Being raised by an excommunicated Catholic was not easy. My dad was put out of the church because in those days, your bride had to sign papers agreeing to raise their children Catholic. But he never left behind. He was okay leaving the Catholic Church, but he never left behind his practices and beliefs. We as a family attended another church several times a week, and with great reverence.
As a young child, I didn't question my dad's perspective on religion. Then he became a deacon of the church, and my first wondering about donating to the church came when our minister showed up in our living room asking my father for a large donation. After the visit, I asked my dad, "Are people charged to go to church?" It didn't make sense to me to have to pay for something so sacred that had been presented to me as a gift and fortunate blessing. He told me I'd understand when I got older. I did develop a greater understanding for the need for a donation when I ran an organization and was responsible for balancing the budget. My wondering about why you would donate evolved into a greater understanding based on bare facts. No organization can exist without money, and the major support for the church comes from the congregants. My transition from wondering to understanding with facts was a natural one. My last step on my journey has been more meaningful and has moved in a totally different direction since I've been a Unitarian Universalist, particularly here in Sarasota. Let me tell you a quick story. I've been a committed activist, fighting for racial and social justice ever since the early 60s. When I retired from my last job, I decided it was time, at the age of 73, to slow down. I announced at my retirement party that I was going to rest, spending more time with my family, playing my piano, exercising, and reading. That lasted for a time, and then I was sitting out there in one of the chairs that you're in, and I heard Reverend J for the first time. Something welled up in me, connecting to me to my previous purpose that I couldn't ignore, and I left the service pondering what I had heard. I knew one thing for sure: my retirement and rest were over. I got home, and whenever I want to make sense of what has happened and to think through what it means to me, I return to some of my favorite authors and poets. I remembered a writing by David White in which he shared that sometimes the fatigue we feel isn't really from hard work. True energy and presence comes from aligning actions with our core values, allowing for deeper engagement in what truly matters. The antidote for fatigue isn't always rest, but it can be renewing one's real purpose in life, clarifying one's values, and taking action, living true to one's purpose and values. This is what White refers to as living wholeheartedly. Some might also call it spiritual vitality, or you could call it letting your light shine brightly, as we heard this morning. Here's where my heart enters into why I give to UUSRQ. Renewing my purpose, clarifying my values, and taking action on both. Each Sunday morning, sitting here, I get quiet time to assess my past week and challenge myself as to whether I've lived by UU values. This usually leads to humility and a desire to do more. And my purpose of fighting for equity and justice is refueled, and I'm offered ways to take action to live out my purpose. There's Reverend Jay's reflections, my work with my fellow members on the Racial Justice Committee, our Racial Justice Action Team, the passion that the Stewardship Committee has put into assuring that we continue to meet the needs of our congregation and community. There's the choir, there's Don, there's Leah, there's the 50 groups with leaders who gather and help create who we are as a community. I could go on, and each and every one of you out there in your own way has contributed to my living a wholehearted life. This is a precious gift, and priceless, and its value cannot be determined. I don't think of my pledge as a donation. I've come to think of it as an exchange of gifts and my opportunity to give back. From a selfish perspective, I want all of what we have here to continue and to even grow with a second minister so that everyone can feel that they can find what helps them live wholeheartedly as a part of our congregation, and that, as Reverend Jay tells us, now is the moment that we can even bring our love and values, which are so badly needed right now, out into the world around us. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., this country will not be a good place for any of us to live in unless we make it a good place for all of us to live in. Among its other benefits, giving liberates the soul of the giver. Thank you.
And now you get a chance to be liberated as we take our offering.
Broken down and tired, living life on a merry-go-round. I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountain. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up high like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up. And I'll do it 1,000 times again. I'll rise up high like the waves. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up and I'll do it 1,000 times again. Silence isn't quiet. It feels like it's getting hard to breathe. I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll bring the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains, and I'll rise up high like the day. I'll rise up. I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. Each other, but that we have each other. Oh, we will rise, we will rise, we will rise up, we'll rise. I'll rise up high like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I will rise 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up high like the day. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you.
Wow, thank you so much. That song is on my Apple playlist for Keep Strong. So, I was born in 1959. I was a child during the 1960s civil rights movement. Although I do remember vividly the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. Malcolm X was assassinated when I was 6 years old in the neighborhood that my grandparents lived in, raising tension and fear about safety in the community. There was a pattern in our country of leading voices of color being assassinated for speaking out against oppression. And due to that, I really do believe due to that, that is why today leadership is much more decentralized. Whether that's good or not is a whole nother story. But in the 60s, the two largest voices were the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. You know, they are often portrayed as conflicting with each other, but the story is much more complex than that. Both were children of preachers whose lives and ministries evolved over time, intersected occasionally, and complemented each other. King grew up in a relatively stable, middle-class household rooted in the black community and black church and supported by a strong family and community. His education at the prestigious Morehouse College and then seminary in Pennsylvania and graduate school at Boston University shaped his theological and ethical vision. I would say it summarized his, at least, theology of the time in his 1962 speech at Cornell College in Iowa, where he said, and I quote, "People often hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they do not know each other. They do not know each other because they cannot communicate. They cannot communicate because they are separated," end quote. Malcolm X had a very different upbringing. His father, Earl, was also a preacher, was a follower of Marcus Garvey, promoting black nationalism. And the KKK forced the family out of Omaha. Their house was then burned down when they moved to Michigan. And Earl, his father, was subsequently murdered, leaving the family in dire poverty. And then eventually social services broke up he and his siblings into different households. Unlike Martin, Malcolm lived in abject poverty. As theologian James Cone writes, and I quote, "In the ghetto where survival was arduous and violence was an everyday experience, nonviolence was not meaningful and most regarded it as weakness," end quote. In prison, Malcolm found the foundation of belief in the Nation of Islam and its leader, Elijah Muhammad. And this provided discipline and support for him, and as well when he came out in the larger African-American community. And Malcolm rose to the highest levels of the Nation of Islam, often proposing violence for self-defense, although to be honest, I cannot find any record of him actually using or ordering violence, just the threat of violence. And we should not also, as an aside, confuse the Nation of Islam with traditional Islam. However, the Nation of Islam instilled self-reliance and pride in African descent, while being virulently anti-Christian, calling it the religion of the oppressors. So you can see where that might create some conflict initially between Malcolm and Martin. After negative publicity, though, due to Malcolm's negative comments about the assassination of President Kennedy and discovering some improprieties about Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm was ostracized from the Nation of Islam. And this gave him, though, a new intellectual freedom, and he took a pilgrimage to Mecca and experienced a spiritual rebirth. And he said, and I quote, "What I have seen has forced me to rearrange my thought patterns and toss aside previous conclusions. Here in this ancient holy land, where they were of all colors, from blue-eyed blondes to black-skinned Africans, all participating in the same ritual, displaying unity and brotherhood that my experiences in America led me to believe could never exist between white and non-white. You may be shocked by these words coming from me, he goes on, but I have always tried to face facts and accept reality as new experiences unfold, end quote. When Malcolm returned to America, he spoke to wider audiences, college students, labor unions, the Socialist Workers' Party. He said it is not a case of our people wanting either separation or integration. The use of these words clouds the real picture. The 22 million Afro-Americans seek recognition and respect as human beings, end quote. Though not abandoning the possibility of violence, he moved closer to King in seeking reconciliation and justice rather than separation. And 9 months after returning from Mecca and making these pronouncements, he was assassinated, presumably by the Nation of Islam. Now, Malcolm X's profound transformation shows us what is possible, transforming hate into love, not abandoning one's principles or their tactics, but seeing a wider, more inclusive worldview. Martin Luther King actually sent a cable to Malcolm's wife after his assassination. He wrote, and I quote, "While we did not always see eye to eye on methods, I always had deep affection for Malcolm and felt he had great ability to put his finger on the existence and the root of the problem. He was an eloquent spokesman and had great concern for the problems we face as a race," end quote. And as well, Malcolm X, when King was in prison, went to visit Coretta Scott King and some of the other leaders of SNCC and SLCC, and told them that he was really not trying to create problems for Martin, but he felt that his presence would move white people to move to support Martin Luther King, as opposed, because they really feared Malcolm X. And I think that was a very interesting awareness that he shared with her, that was part of their strategy together. You know, we tend to idolize King today, freezing him in the I Have a Dream speech in 1963. But just as Malcolm transformed and moved towards King's position, King also evolved and became increasingly militant in his peaceful resistance. King's rhetoric sharpened dramatically over time. And by 1967, he was calling America, and I quote, "the greatest purveyor of violence in the world," and demanding a radical redistribution of economic and political power, end quote. When he opposed the Vietnam War, he recognized the Vietnamese struggle mirrored African American struggle here. And many allies, black and white together, abandoned him when he came out against the war in Vietnam, saying that he should stay in his lane. But King saw that racism, militarism, and economic exploitation were interconnected evils that required a revolutionary restructuring of American society. And I think we still see that need. The king, who was assassinated in 1968 while supporting striking sanitation workers, was far more radical than the king of 1963. Both Martin and Malcolm were moving toward a more comprehensive vision of justice when they were killed. So the question is, knowing what we know today, facing even more increased racism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia especially, and anti-Semitism, how will we respond? Will we be like quiet Germans who looked away during Nazi Germany? Or stand up to hate and finally build the beloved community? Will we take direct action to put forth our values into the world, to stand with all who are oppressed, and to speak truth to power, to put this country back on the path to the freedoms that we so enjoyed and push for in our values? This past year, we have seen assault after assault on immigrants, naturalized citizens, documented and undocumented residents. You know, we never see them go after the Irish immigrants in New York City. You know, we hear vulgar, dehumanizing language from our leaders. People are stopped and asked for papers, ignoring their Fourth Amendment rights. Masked ICE agents, a private army without accountability, rounding up people of color without warrants. You know, last week, I'm sure many of you have seen the video of a young white woman's being killed by ICE, and her last words to the ICE agent were, "I'm not mad at you," right? Right before he executed her. And he executed her. I saw the video in slow motion. Right before he executed her. And then right after, he called her and used defamatory language towards her. You know, we have seen this barbarism in history before. In the lead up to sending Jews and others to the gas chamber, we have seen this disregard for humanity in our country when we considered Africans property and not people. We have seen this racial demonization in war propaganda, which led to Japanese American citizens being sent to detention camps in World War II, while German Americans kept their freedom. Dehumanizing people is the first step to convincing people to harm others. So it is up to us to speak loudly and to speak clearly what our values are, so that our leaders know that we do not hold their values, and that we show this larger community that we believe in humanizing people, that we need to recognize and respect that every human being has worth and dignity, that every human being deserves justice, equity, and compassion. We as a country need a spiritual rebirth. Martin and Malcolm showed us individual change is possible, and they showed us that people from all walks of life in the right place and in the right time can rise up and affect change in the world. Now is the time. Now is the place. We need to rise up and act against a morally corrupt government. As philosopher John Stuart Mill said, bad people need nothing more to achieve their end than that good people should look on and do nothing. So let us keep Martin and Malcolm's legacy alive. Let us do that by doing something to stop this travesty of justice that is happening in our country day after day after day. I invite you to do what you can, to write letters to your elected officials. I invite you to join us every Sunday at our immigration vigil at Payne Park to bear witness to and bring attention to the moral failings of this government. I invite you to work for voter turnout in the next election. I invite you to gather with our immigration coalition and other social justice teams, and let us be united with our partners in the community in our work to stand up to injustice. Let us listen to those who are suffering, and let us follow them, not just to the mountaintop, but into the streets and wherever else is necessary, until justice wells up like water and righteousness like an unfailing stream. We are not at the mountaintop. No, we are not. In fact, we are probably in a plateau of despair right now. So it is time to continue that climb up the mountain again, to remember the dreams of those who died in the struggle, to remember that we are not in the promised land yet, and it is still in the distance, and we cannot tire. The time to start climbing is now, and it will take all of us. May we make it so. I invite you to please rise and by the and/or Spirit for our closing hymn, I Wish I Knew How. Our closing words are from James Cone from his book, Martin and Malcolm in America, A Dream or a Nightmare. Martin King was right. The hour is late and the clock of destiny is ticking out. We must declare where we stand on the great issues of our time. Racism is one of them. Poverty is another. Sexism, another. Class exploitation, another. Imperialism, another. We must break the cycle of violence in America and around the world. Human beings are meant for life and not death. They are meant for freedom and not slavery. They were created for each other, not against each other. We must therefore break down the barriers that separate people from one another. Please join me now in extinguishing the chalice. The words will be up on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment, these we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you all for your presence here today. Go forth, do good, and be good. Thank you.